Hello and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. I forgot what episode this is. I always forget. I think it's 15, but I could be crazy. I have been playing a lot of this offline because I don't want to have too many repetitive missions of tourism and rescues. So I've been doing a lot of that, and over time I managed to hire and rescue us up to 79 active Kerbals. We have a lot of money right now. And I have spent a lot of science, and I'm going to show you what I spent it on. Basically, we filled out most of this row, and we've also gotten things like docking ports, so we should get some interesting missions coming up. Better service bays, ladders, a new probe, even a new antenna for when we launch things into space later. Here's the new probe. Better electronics. So we've really grabbed a lot. And we were able to do that just because we were taking missions like sending things into orbit of the sun and just kind of taking advantage of what we had and not trying to rush ahead. Now, we're going to take a ridiculously large rocket to do what the next mission is, which I will show you right now, which is fly by the moon. Gather scientific data, and return to Kerbal. Okay, not a big problem. So we're going to kind of go this a little extreme. Like I said, I've kind of overbuilt this for a rather bit of a better mission. And this is rather large for a simple flyby of the moon. We could have done that a lot easier. We're going to go ahead, though, and we're going to fill this up with our original 4 astronauts. And what we're going to do, we will do the flyby. We'll get all the science we can get. And we're also going to put these in orbit around Moon. That way, we'll always have decent communication. So if we want to land probes, we don't have to worry about not having a manned pilot. We'll always have communication. And that's just going to be something that we are going to especially have to do if I'm not going to sit around and try to rescue 100 or 200 more astronauts than we already have. And I just don't have it in me, and I want to get more of these videos out. And if I'm stuck in Earth orbit, I won't have anything interesting to make a video with. So away we go. We're going to go ahead and launch this thing. The hardest part I have found on these rockets when I have these big giant boosters on the side, I mean, it's a cheap way to get into orbit. But they have so much thrust, it's really hard to get a decent gravity turn on these things unless you are real aggressive with it. But if you're too aggressive with it, it all happens too early, and that's not good either. I don't feel like I'm doing too bad on this one. It's not great. I'd like to be down farther than we are, but yeah, I'm okay with this. We will slowly move down here, and we are going to the moon, so a higher orbit isn't going to be the worst thing in the world that happens to us. It'll waste a little more fuel. We have way more fuel than we need, so again, not too concerned. And these solids are about to burn out. And we'll drop them off. I don't have very much thrust coming out of here right now at all. And that's kind of by design, because look how high we are. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn that off. We're going to go ahead and make a burn. Normally I like to circularize the orbit. We're not. That's just going to take too much energy, and going to the moon just isn't that hard. So we just want to make sure that we're in orbit. Make sure we're in orbit. There we go. Good enough. And it's going to be a 1:05 burn, so not great, but we'll get there. All right, we don't need this fairing anymore. We are out of the atmosphere. I'm going to go ahead and extend the solar panels and the communication array on the satellites, and I'm also going to extend the ladder here so we can collect the science data. It's kind of very strange the way I built this ship, but it'll make sense as we do it. So at any rate, we have to get this in line for this burn. Maybe. Yeah, someplace around in there. We have a burn time of, so we basically have to wait until that's 32 seconds on the clock. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this forward. And pretty close now, and fire. Not doing anything really special. We can just watch it from here. We don't need to watch this even particular. I can either watch this ball or I can watch this roughly get to where it needs to be. I'm not really worried about precision, so I'm probably just going to look up here because we're going to see the target move around funny at the end. It always happens. I'm just kind of worried about bulk right now. Get the thing into orbit, and then we'll figure out our next burn. It'd have been a lot nicer if I could have gotten that over in a gravity turn and we'd have used less fuel and been in a slightly lower orbit that we could have circularized a little bit better. But again, not the end of the world. Going to the moon's easy. Landing on the moon's not so easy. Actually, that's not true either, but landing on Mismus is pretty easy. All right. Not quite there. Like I said, we're close enough. We're in orbit. I don't care. All right. I'm going to set the moon as the target. And I'm guessing someplace around there. I'm probably wrong, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, we're kind of close. Okay. I think we're going to hit something like that. That looks good to me. 39-second burn. All right. We have 4 minutes to get there. That's about 20 seconds aside, so we'll fast forward to then. Maybe even faster. 3, 2, 1, fire. And we're doing all right. What's basically the first stage is gonna get us there. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Might even supply some of the slowdown when we get there, but we shall see. A little bit more to burn. Okay, that went a little bit farther than I had thought, but that's okay. We're going to back that up just a little bit because I want the satellites to be a little higher, which is a bit unfortunate, but that's okay. Didn't know my own strength, I guess. Didn't know the strength of that rocket. I would like that to at least be 1 million. There we go. All right. We should be good. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this. When we change into the lunar side of it, it slows it down, so we don't have to worry about rushing through that. We are going to go ahead and do a burn here. We're going to add a maneuver. And what we're going to do is just circularize this as much as possible. What did I have that at? 1022. A little bit more. Actually, what we'll do is this. They should be roughly even when they start to move. That's pretty close. I'm liking that. We're going to go ahead, line this up. We have a 6-second burn. So that should not be too bad of a deal. All right, we're going to go ahead and fast forward to it, warp to the next maneuver. All right, so we're there. We're just about where we need to be. I'm going to go ahead and speed it up just a little bit because we only need 3 seconds on this side of the node. And there we go. Oops. May have burned a little late, but not the end of the world. This is not perfection. All right, that's close enough. All right, 2044. Yeah, that's close enough. As long as we have a general notion of what's happening, what we're going to do now is... What in the world? No, we're not doing that yet. Wow, we really have a lot of fuel left over. Cool. All right, we are going to move this down to here. And we're going to drop that first satellite off. And there it is. So that satellite... Come on. Let's do it this way. That satellite is going to be our target now. And what we're going to do is... I'm going to wait till this thing separates just a little bit. That's what we're going to do. I didn't have very much left. It's like 1% of that force of that stack separator was being used. But that's all we really need. I didn't want to do too much. So that's going away. It's just going away slowly. What we're going to do is... Yeah, we're going to have to let this burn a little bit, or go a little bit, because I did it in the wrong direction. But that's okay. We're going to basically head to about here. And we're basically want to get this point and this point about 1/3 of the way around the circle. Right? That's about there. Right? From here to here, maybe a little more. What in the world? That's what I'm looking for. We'll put another satellite out here later. So basically what we're going to be doing is when we get to this location, get it lined up, we're going to do a 1-second burn in 22 minutes, which is going to greatly reduce our orbit. When we get to the other side, we're going to burn back out to that exact same orbit we were just at. And then we'll launch the next satellite. And that way, this one will be here, this one will be here, right? So we'll get them in thirds. It'll make better sense, hopefully, if it doesn't already when it happens. But that's the general concept here. We're going to go ahead. I'm warping to next maneuver. It just seems to be taking a goodly while to do that. And I'm speed it up a little bit to get us down to that 1-second mark. And we will burn. Maybe a little much, but that's okay. It's close enough. We're guessing anyways. Again, it has to be roughly 1/3. All right, so here we are. We know what's going to happen. This is going to go for a little bit. We're going to speed this up to... We're going to add a maneuver down there. Again, when we hit that, we're going to go forward. And we'll be roughly the same. Oops. We'll be roughly the same orbit as that last satellite. It's not going to be perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. We're going to have so many satellites and so much communication up here eventually that this will all be so duplicated and stuff like that. It's just not going to matter. But for the time being, it needs to be roughly right. Okay, here we are. We have a 3-hour wait to burn that. So we're going to go ahead and click on here and warp to next maneuver. All right. And here we are. Gonna line that up a little bit better. Speed this up, accelerate this up to just closer to that 1 second mark. And fire away. That's about as right as it's going to get. All right, here we are. I am actually going to point this in a slightly different direction so I can burn right away. What I did the last time is I wanted to... Oh, actually, that was probably fine the way I was. That's okay. We are once again going to bring this down. My staging is all wrong. I expected to dump this long ago. All right, so we're in the right orbit. And we push that one away. So we'll go ahead and let the timer go out just a little bit. And I'm going to tell that one to get ready to burn in reverse. And I don't want that to go smacking out of that, so I'm maybe just going to stop that before it bats it out of the ballpark. We'll just fast forward that a little. Get out of the way. There you go. Okay. Oh, I just could see that thing hitting that thing and knocking it to wherever. That would be annoying. All right. So the next step that we have is we need to set up a burn. Oh. The other thing we need to do is I need to set that as a target. There we go. It's the same thing as before. What I'm doing here is we want that to be about a third of the way off. And we can kind of do that based on where the existing one is. So presumably if I've guessed roughly right of where I'm supposed to be releasing these things, we should have the third one now. This should basically be thirds. So we shall see. We've got it. We've got 10 minutes to wait for that burn. We're going to go ahead and warp to the next maneuver. And I'm going to time accelerate that down to the 1 second mark, or as close as I can get to it without... All right, there we are. Once again, we're going to fast forward through this a little bit to get that on its merry way. We'll add a maneuver, bring this right back to where it was. Pretty close. Okay. That ultimately is going to be prograde where this is going to point us to. Ultimately, it's not going to be that now because it's way over here. So I'm just going to warp to the next maneuver. And this should work out nicely. One thing I'm going to do a little differently, I am just going to go ahead and stage this. And we're just going to use these engines for the rest of this. I had a little bit of a burn in there, but we're going to have to stage in the middle of the next burn, and I didn't see a point in that. So we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to fast forward just a bit. And burn. All right. Fairly close to spot on. Yeah, close enough to spot on. And go ahead and delete that node. We will now launch this one. All right. So if we look closely, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here. So we've got the moon covered. Any probe that we put around there will be able to communicate back to Kerbal, even if it's on the dark side of the moon. So that's what we wanted to do. That's what we did. So let's do the real mission, which is to collect science. I have this set up on a group to grab all this. So we're going to keep this. That's not bad. This is all high over the moon. So high. We've got a crew report. We've got the atmospheric pressure. We've got the temperature scan. And we've got the mystery goo. Oh, did I do mystery goo twice? Apparently I did. All right, so this one we're just going to reset. Okay, so this is taken care of. We're going to go ahead and get our scientist to EVA out here. The first thing he is going to do is take an EVA report. We're going to keep that. We're going to take the data that we have in here already so we can do another crew report later. And we're going to walk up here. I do not think that he's going to walk any further than that. We're going to have to let go and hopefully get back here. Come on. Do it. Do it. And not sure why it's giving me the angle that it's giving me, but it's kind of cool to see that satellite just slowly drift away. All right, we're getting here. See, if I was smart, I would have lined these up, but I put the ladder here to make this easier, and I mean, ultimately, it is easier. We're going to take that data. We're going to collect that data. We're going to restore. We're going to collect that data. We're going to restore. We're going to take that data. All right, so that's all the data that we can get right now from that particular location. We're going to go ahead and let him go back down. I do not know why it's doing it that way. But, oops. Get him back down here. EVAs aren't really that painful most of the time, but it's kind of annoying when it should just be easy. If it didn't reorient itself, the keys would have lined up and, whoopsie, everything would have been a little easier. All right, grab. Board. All right, so we have everything we need from that location. What we need to do now is burn down to a much lower orbit, or at least burn the periapsis down. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Well, we'll wait a little bit so we're sure that other satellite is out of our way. And it should be. We'll burn our periapsis down quite a bit, actually. Gonna be more than that. That should be low space. I don't really know what it is, but that should certainly be low enough. So our next step then is we're going to go ahead and zip down to here. Warp. All right. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick look. It is space near the moon, so we're just going to go ahead and do the science again, which I have put on the 0 key. So yeah, we're going to keep the material study. We're going to keep the crew report. We're going to keep the atmosphere. We're going to keep the temperature. We're going to keep the first mystery goo. We're going to reset the other one, not that it matters. And we did the crew report as part of that, but we have to do the EVA manually. So the EVA report, boom, got it. Just for giggles, we're going to take all that data again, and then we're going to store it again. And the reason we did that is because that clears out the crew report. So if we want to do another crew report later, we can. All right, I'm going to break free of here. We're going to turn on his rockets, which is inexplicably going to turn him sideways or some random location. I don't know. I don't really understand what it's doing. Fortunately, they've got enough experience flying on this thing that, oops, I can mostly get it to work. There we go. Alright, we're going to grab that. Collect the data, restore. Collect the data, restore. Take the data. And take the data. Alright, that is everything. That is all the data that we can collect right now. So, the next thing we are going to do... Well, we need to get him back in. So we'll do that. Don't know why this is this hard. Alright. So presumably he should get getting clear. There we go. We can grab. Walk down the thing. We will board. Okay, we have everything that we need. All the science that we need. We are now have this kind of randomly orbited monstrosity here. So I'm going to go ahead and let all of that out. That will become, as soon as it launches, we'll name it. But that'll become our Moon Science Orbiter. So away it goes. It should be this. I want to verify. Nope. That's the one. Good thing I verified. All right, here we go. And we'll let it go on its merry way. And while that's doing all of that nice, wonderful separation, we're going to figure out how to get back home ourselves. And this is probably the best way to do it. We'll just add a maneuver here. Maybe that isn't the best way to do it. We will. I always kind of forgot how to do this. I thought there was a spot to do this that was on this side of the planet that made it real easy, but I do have a weird orbit right now, so that makes it a little more complicated. What in the world? All right. That's bizarre. I just want to get into the basic orbit. I can bring the thing down at that point. Darn it. I can bring it down, but there's so much crap here. I can't see what I am doing. And so, all right. Instead of doing it this way, as much as I hate to do it, I am just going to add a maneuver. I'm just going to add a maneuver up here. And we are going to see what happens. No, we're not. Yeah. We're just going to spread that out a little bit. I am not sure what's going on. And it's been too long since I've screwed with the orbits and the physics of all of this. And we have so much fuel, I don't care. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and zip that up. We are fast forwarding now. We're going to zip this thing up. Well, it's a lot easier to turn now that we've dropped that huge tank off. Okay, here we are. We are going to wait till we get there. We're going to warp to the next maneuver. We're going to burn those 6 seconds. It'll just make life a lot easier. It's kind of silly to do it this way, but fast forward that a little bit. And there we go. That's probably good enough. All right, so now I'm going to make sure that I'm not crazy because I forgot how to do this. See, that obviously is unwanted. And I thought what you did was you burned on this side. And then the more you burn... Nope. Man, it's been a long time since I've done this, but that's roughly what we want to start with. That's good enough. I don't care. We're going to do that because it's all of 2 seconds worth of burn. Come on. Please. All right. in here. Warp to next maneuver. Alrighty, actually kept it in pretty decent lineup to the where we're trying to aim. So we don't always get that. All right, almost down to the. We're gonna need to burn it 1 second. 3, 2, 1. All right. So that's where we're at. It's a little silly, but that's okay. We're gonna wait until we are out of the moon. So we'll just time accelerate. And then we're gonna basically burn retrograde, and we're just gonna pull that in. Look at all our fuel. I mean, we've just got a ton of fuel, and we've got a relatively efficient engine. I forgot that ladder was up there like that. That's funny. And if I, there we go. Go ahead and retract that. Not that I care all that much. And we're going to go ahead and burn. Well, that's interesting. Really wasn't kind of what I was thinking was going to happen. So we're going to re-encounter the moon? Why not? At least we're getting the burn we want. So, we're getting closer to the burn we want. It's a little stupid, but yeah, we're going to go with it. Not that we have a choice. So let's just come around to something. Warp here. We got that one crazy elliptical one, but yeah. All right, we're just gonna keep going out. Keep going out. All right. We got tons of fuel. And so I'm going to come up to the apoapsis and I'm going to add a maneuver and we're just going to pull this thing. Are you kidding me? I guess we're not. I think we're going to go ahead and just see what happens here for a minute. All right, now it seems to me, add maneuver. Yeah, that's kind of more what we're looking for. What I would like to do is get that not that low, to about that height. So we're going to be able to burn off basically a whole ton of this. And when we get to the other side, we're going to start burning too to bring this down, but we're guaranteed that we will eventually re-enter by doing that. So it'd be a horrible re-entry if we had to loop around as many times as we'd have to loop around to do it, but I know it'll work and we'll have all the energy that we need. I know we have a long way to wait for this, but I don't care. We're just going to burn now. I say a long way, it's less than a minute. But we're so far out, it just isn't going to matter. And then it'll give me a chance I can do this a little slower. There we go. Cool. So when we get to about here, we're going to just basically start burning retrograde and just pull that in as much as we can. I could have sworn I said to warp there. Warp to next maneuver. That's not what I'm trying to do. Warp here. Okay. There was not a next maneuver, but there was just whatever was left over from the last thing, which is not really what we wanted. So this is going to drop a little bit. This is going to drop a lot when I start burning retrograde. think that'll bring that down more. I don't want that to rise that much. And I don't want it to fall that much either. One of these times we'll get this. Alright, we're just going to go straight retrograde. At this point in time, that is high, but it's not just ridiculous. So we're going to let this slip down a little bit lower. Maybe to about 100 before we start that burn. A little bit more. Alright. And now we'll take a look at it and... That's a little that's a little lower than I want, so I'm going to burn up. The nice thing about that is while we're doing that, it brings this one down at the same time. So, all right. It's not a perfect, but it's going to work. We will go ahead and drop that off. We're going to go ahead and aim retrograde. We will fly around for a while until we hit the atmosphere. Now we've hit the atmosphere. We're going to fly around until we start making fire. And we'll have a lot of science points once this happens. This is as fast as you can accelerate when you're in an atmosphere or when you're burning. So, unfortunately, we just have to sit and wait for it. Kind of neat graphics, I guess. That's a big ship. And it's kind of weirdly built. I mean, inside of this module here is the probe core that's actually running it. Okay, there goes our 4 drogue chutes. We're definitely slow enough we could drop these others, but I'm not going to right at the moment. Let it get closer. All right, now we're on the highlands, so. Oh. Rocks and boulders and such. Pretty sure we've already done a crew report flying at Kerbal, so nothing useful there. I'm pretty sure we have everything that we've managed to could need from the highlands. I may see if there's a surface sample when we get down here, but man, this is kind of a weird look. There's a lot of weird rocks, weird scatter. All right, so it says that we're at 17, but we're really, if you look over here, relative to the terrain, we've only got, less than 200 meters. So we are getting down there, coming down a little bit on a slope. That's not always pleasant. And we're just gonna go ahead and come on. We're gonna go ahead and recover that before it rolls down the hill. And see what valuable prizes we have won. And see what valuable prizes we have won. There we go. All right, 602 science. Now, we had some before that we didn't spend, I grant you. But 602 is pretty awesome. That is exceptionally awesome. So they got experience, but they didn't get another star yet. I imagine that's at least going to take landing on another body. And we got a lot of our parts back. Not obviously as much as we spent by a long shot, but pretty happy. Pretty happy with this mission. But this amazes me, 602. And what really amazes me about that is this right here is going to cost us either that or that and this. And this is the Holy Grail. Not really, but this is one unit that is gonna this will take us everywhere, or at least everywhere that doesn't have an atmosphere, and it'll take us there. It just won't take us into it. So that's a big step. We also are opening up the way to new science, so I might spend it on that instead. We have a lot to think about. More probe cores, more electricity, better landing gear back here. Lots of interesting stuff coming up. So, all right, well, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Kerbal Space Program. If you did, please click the like button and please subscribe to my channel. And I will see you next time. Have a great day and be safe.